It all comes down to this: Arrowhead under the lights, Sunday Night Football, and everything on the line. You know how it feels. The season narrows to a single game, and every snap feels heavier. That's where the Chiefs are right now at 6-6, and the Texans at 7-5. Both teams staring at a path to the playoffs that's razor-thin. For Kansas City, this isn't just another primetime game. It's a reset button or the moment the season slips away. For Houston, it's a chance to solidify a top flight. Defenses hold on the AFC picture. The crowd, the noise, the history of Arrowhead. It all amplifies pressure and creates an edge you want on your side. This matchup is a textbook contrast. A high-flying Chiefs passing offense that can move the ball through the middle of the field versus a Texans unit built to make life miserable for quarterbacks and to grind opponents down. On paper, the Chiefs' aerial attack looks elite. Mahomes with weapons like Kelsey and Rice, but the box score hides problems: red zone miscues, questionable play calling at times, and that nagging offensive line injury list that changes how you run the offense. Meanwhile, the Texans lean on a dominant defense that's built to create turnovers and stymie drives, especially with a fearsome front that can collapse pockets and dictate play calling. Tonight will be about details. Can Kansas City protect the quarterback long enough to use the short, surgical passing game? Can the Chiefs avoid the mistakes that turn promising drives into punts or turnovers? And can the defense hold up against a Texans team that wins with defense and timely big plays? I'll dig into those matchups next. The offensive line reality that's shaping Andy Reid's choices, and the tactical ways Mahomes can take the heat off the line. Before we get into X's and O's, drop your vote in the comments. Arrowhead or Texans, and tell me why. If you enjoy this breakdown, hit like and subscribe to help us reach 6,000 subscribers. Every sub helps us keep these deep breakdowns coming. When you hear that the Chiefs are getting healthier, sharper, and more settled heading into the toughest stretch of the season, it's easy to shrug it off as just another update. But I want you to look deeper at what these improvements actually mean for a team that's been battling inconsistency week after week. Kansas City hasn't lacked talent. What it's lacked is continuity, rhythm, and a stable foundation around Mahomes. And these latest developments, from key defensive bodies returning to improved timing with the newest offensive pieces, don't just help the team, they change the entire ceiling of what Kansas City can be in December. Think about it from the offensive perspective first. The Chiefs have spent much of the season trying to build a reliable identity outside of Mahomes' magic. Some weeks leaning into a more aggressive vertical approach, other weeks struggling with separation and predictable spacing. The updates you heard about earlier give Kansas City something it has desperately needed: clarity. You can't build a complete offense without knowing who you can trust in high-leverage downs. And now Andy Reid finally has a cleaner picture of personnel groupings, route packages, and where the mismatches consistently appear. That alone helps Mahomes play faster. On defense, the significance is even bigger. Steve Spagnuolo has built this unit on versatility and disguised pressure, but injuries and rotating roles forced him to simplify at times. With the defense trending back toward full strength, Spags can reopen the playbook. Those late rotation coverages, pressure disguises, and hybrid fronts that turned Kansas City into a top-tier defense last year can now return. When this defense is whole, it doesn't just complement the offense, it becomes the tone setter. The Chiefs win differently when Spags has all his pieces. And beyond X's and O's, there's the emotional and psychological lift. A team that has been grinding through a turbulent, uneven first half finally feels momentum turning in its favor. There's a different energy inside a locker room when players who've been missing finally return to the field at practice. It stabilizes everything. It sharpens everything. It creates urgency in areas where complacency once lingered. You can feel Kansas City's confidence returning. And confidence matters when your schedule tightens and every possession begins to carry playoff weight. Before we go to the next chapter, I want to hear from you. Do you think the Chiefs' biggest jump will come on offense or defense? Drop offense or defense in the comments. And while you're here, help the channel reach 6,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button and like the video, so this content keeps reaching more Chiefs fans just like you. The real story you need to understand about this matchup is that Houston's defense isn't a good unit. It's one of the best in football right now, built to take the ball and field position away from opponents and to force quarterbacks into uncomfortable decisions. They lead the league in scoring defense and have been elite at limiting yards overall, which is why this game feels like a chess match more than a shootout. Arrowhead Pride +1. Their front seven is the heartbeat of that unit. Will Anderson Jr. is the premier young edge rusher in the league, and he's consistently wrecking protection schemes. And he's not alone. The Texans pair him with a high-level interior edge presence. The team has leaned on the duo of Anderson and Hunter to create pressure and sacks, so their pass rush is a real, game-altering force. Arrowhead Pride +1. So what does that mean for Kansas City and you as the fan watching at Arrowhead? First, this is a matchup where the Chiefs' offensive line reality cannot be an afterthought. Kansas City has been navigating key absences up front, with starters listed as doubtful late in the week and backups stepping into critical roles, which makes giving Mahomes time a top priority. KMBC +1. With that in mind, the cleanest path to victory is to shorten the time to throw and to make Houston's pass rush defend the whole field, not just the pocket collapse. Practically, that looks like several tactical moves. Quick passing concepts, slants, quick outs, two-step drops, and three-step timing routes to neutralize the rush. More rollouts and bootlegs that let Mahomes use movement to reset the rush angles, and schematic help with extra blockers and chip protections on Anderson's side. Use pre-snap motion and misdirection to generate hesitation at the line, and lean into two tight end or heavy sets situationally to create matchup problems in the intermediate area where Kelsey can find space. When you do get to stretch the field, do it with targeted play action after a few effective short yardage completions rather than trying to sell the run early with a makeshift line. Those are the practical adjustments that increase your chance of success against a team that lives in the backfield. Defensively, KC's best path is to mix looks and keep Stroud off timing by disguising pressure and dropping 7 into lanes that take away the deep third and force quick second-level throws. Chris Jones still matters as the inside push who can collapse pockets when he wins one-on-one matchups up front, but he's produced fewer sacks this season than his peak years, so the Chiefs will need to generate pressure with group rushes and stunt work rather than relying on single-player win after win. ESPN.com +1. Which Texans defender worries you most? Anderson or Hunter, or someone else? Drop the name in the comments. If you're locking in on strategy and want more X's and O's breakdowns, hit like and subscribe to help the channel reach 6,000 subscribers. It helps us keep bringing deep game plans like this straight to you. All right, let's bring everything together. The injury news, the matchups, the Texans' strengths, the Chiefs' adjustments. And let's talk about what this game will actually look like on Sunday. Because while both teams have clear identities, this matchup isn't going to be about who has the flashier offense or the loudest highlight plays. It's going to be about execution, patience, And which team avoids the one or two mistakes that flip field position? For Kansas City, the pathway is clearer than you might think. You don't have to drop 35 points to beat Houston, but you do need to own the situational football moments. Third and medium. Red zone snaps. 4-minute offense. Those are the areas where the Chiefs have been inconsistent this year, and they are exactly the areas Houston punishes teams for slipping, because their defense doesn't give away easy yards. So the verdict for Kansas City is simple. Stay ahead of the chains. Stay out of desperation passing downs, and don't give the Texans front 7 free shots at Mahomes. Let's go to the numbers you want. My stat line. Projection for the featured weapon we discussed earlier, Smith. Given how Kansas City's game plan should flow, this feels like a steady, chain-moving performance rather than a breakout fireworks show. I'm projecting 7 targets, 5 receptions, around 55-65 yards, and at least 2 of those catches coming on key third-down plays where Mahomes trusts the leverage and spacing. That's the kind of performance that doesn't make the national highlight reel, but absolutely helps you win a playoff-style December game. For Mahomes, expect efficiency over explosion. Somewhere in the range of 245-275 passing yards, 1 or 2 touchdowns, and a heavy emphasis on quick decisions. The Texans' defense forces you to live with small, patient gains, and if Kansas City embraces that blueprint instead of chasing the home run shot, it sets up a fourth quarter where Mahomes can take over with tempo, motion, and controlled aggression. Defensively, the Chiefs need to force Stroud into one extended drive after another. Houston's offense is talented, but if you take away the explosives and make them earn 12-14 play drives, the odds tilt back in your favor. Kansas City doesn't need 3 turnovers, it just needs 1 timely stop, 1 stalled red zone possession to flip the outcome. Final verdict, Chiefs 24, Texans 20. A grinded-out game, a grown-man football game, and a statement win if Kansas City handles the fundamentals. Before we hit the final chapter, I want your take. Is Smith an X factor this week? Yes or no? Drop it in the comments. And if you haven't yet, hit like and subscribe. Help us get to 6,000 subscribers so we can keep bringing Chiefs fans the content they deserve. Before this matchup kicks off, there are a few things Kansas City absolutely must clean up. And these aren't small details. They're the exact issues that have cost this team momentum, consistency, and winnable drives throughout the season. If the Chiefs handle these adjustments, they don't just beat Houston. They start building the foundation they need for a late-season run. First, Kansas City has to lean into the under-center run success that has quietly become a strength. Every time the Chiefs commit to north-south, downhill touches with Pacheco from under center, the offense looks more controlled and more unpredictable. The Texans' front isn't easy to move, but they can be stressed horizontally and vertically when the Chiefs avoid the shotgun-only rhythm. If Andy Reid keeps that balance early and refuses to drift back to the pass-heavy comfort zone, Kansas City will control both tempo and tone. Second, the urgency has to show up earlier in games. Too many weeks, the Chiefs have waited until the second half to find rhythm or identity. Against Houston, a team that thrives on capitalizing when opponents waste possessions, Kansas City can't sleepwalk through the first 2 quarters. Early motion, early misdirection, early high-percentage throws to create flow. That's how you avoid chasing. The game later. Third, the Chiefs need to maintain their aggressive fourth-down personality. When this team plays confident and decisive, they dictate the game. When they get conservative, they invite chaos. The Texans are good enough to steal momentum if Kansas City hesitates in those high-leverage moments. Trust the quarterback, trust the spacing plays, and convert the opportunities you earn. Finally, Kansas City cannot afford another middle game lull. Those stretches where 2 or 3 consecutive drives go nowhere because of avoidable penalties, miscommunication, or stalled play sequencing. Houston feeds off those windows. If the Chiefs value every possession, they force the Texans into a style of game they don't want to play. Before we close, I want you to comment below. What is the single biggest adjustment Kansas City must make to beat Houston? And make sure you hit subscribe and help us reach 6,000 subscribers so more Chiefs fans can join in every week at Total Chiefs. News.